Good morning, everyone. Today we are here at EPCOT, but we're going to do something a little different. We are not here to try any rides. We're not going to meet any characters. We're not even going to experience a festival. I mean, this place always has festivals going on, right? So I'm sure there's one happening behind us. Ooh, monorail. But instead, we're going to do something I've wanted to do for quite a while. We're going to go drinking around the world. But of course, I'm going to admit right now, I am not much of a drinker. So I want to do this as safely and responsibly as possible. So I'm not going to try and do this all in one day. I'm going to finish this kind of over the course of the next few visits that I take here to EPCOT. Just, again, we want to do this as safely as possible. Otherwise, you know, the camera, the second half of this video is just going to be the camera pointing at the ground all the time, which I don't want for you guys. But we're going to start in one of the country pavilions. We're going to try one of the, local country beers in each place. I do have this lanyard that I found on Etsy to help track our progress. We'll make our way all the way around the showcase, trying all the different ones that we come across. And at the very end, once we've accomplished our task, I have a very special press penny that I want to share with you to kind of commemorate our successful trip of drinking around the world. So come with me, let's head inside, let's hit up our first country, and let's get things rolling. As we head towards the World Showcase, our first big decision is, do we head towards Mexico or Canada first? You know what, today, I'm feeling like Mexico. Let's head to the left. Here in Mexico, their beer options are kind of limited, as most locations are primarily looking to sell you margaritas. La Cantina here by the lagoon, however, did have one that caught my eye, so I opted to try the Solito Lindo draft beer. It tasted very hoppy and certainly had a bitter taste to it. I'm not usually a fan of overly bitter beer, but this one actually wasn't too bad. Just a short walk into the Norway Pavilion. Thankfully, I didn't have to go near that Frozen Ever After attraction because there's so many guests crowded back there. Instead, I stopped at this snack cart to try the Einstock White Ale. This is a wit beer that uses pure Icelandic glacier water. It had a slightly yeasty taste with some orange flavors, but I actually really enjoyed this one. Over at the China Pavilion, I visited the Joy of Tea stand to try a beer that certainly had a unique name, called Dragon Blossom. It was a Pilsner with flavors of orange blossom, honey, and green tea. It had a bit of a unique flavor, not really to my liking, so I probably wouldn't try it again. This also seemed like a good time for a quick snack of a couple pork egg rolls. Here in Germany, I will admit I kind of cheated a little bit. I've had this beer in the past, but it's one of my favorites, and it's most notorious among many other EPCOT guests. It was just too good not to include as part of our Drinking Around the World challenge today. The Schafferhofer Pink Grapefruit Beer is a Hefeweizen. It's very light, citrusy, fruity, and sweet. This is still one of my favorite beers at EPCOT, and I can even get it at one of my local liquor stores, so I've always got plenty on hand back at my home. Buongiorno from Italy. There are a few locations here in the pavilion where you can buy beer, but they all only really just have one kind that's actually brewed in Italy. So I just opted to visit the festival booth since there was no line, and I could actually buy just a smaller sample size. This is a 6-ounce pour of their Peroni Pilsner. This is a surprisingly bold and bitter flavor that really wasn't my favorite. Thankfully, I only had this small little cup to finish. We are now officially halfway around the World Showcase and find ourselves in the American Adventure Pavilion. There were quite a few unique options here, but I headed over to the Regal Eagle Bar to try the Bell's Oberon American Wheat Ale. This is brewed in Comstock, Michigan, and was a little spicy with a fruity aroma. I felt the taste was a little too strong for me, so it wasn't my favorite of the day, unfortunately. Our next stop is the Japan Pavilion at the Shaved Ice Cart near the huge pagoda out front of the pavilion. I have had Kirin beer before, but at this location they have a unique version called Frozen Kirin. As you can see, the cup looks like it's topped with soft serve ice cream, but in reality it was just frozen foam. Not much flavor to the foam, and the beer itself was slightly sweet with a bit of a malty taste. Unfortunately, this seems like a better idea than it actually is. I don't really feel the frozen part added anything to the flavor. One of my favorite pavilions is Morocco, just due to all the detail you can find here, especially back in the marketplace. Now near the Showcase Lagoon, you can find the Oasis Sweet Shop, and is where I picked up a pistachio baklava for my next snack, and their Casa beer, short for Casablanca, which was their only current available beer option. It was slightly bitter, but also sweet to help balance out the taste. The beer was fine, but nothing special. The baklava, however, was really flavorful and made me wish I had actually picked up 2 pieces. Bonjour from France.
To be honest, when I think of France, beer is not the first thing that comes to mind, and here in EPCOT I was only able to find one French beer available, and it was over at Les Vignes stand. I seemed to be the only person buying beer at this stand, with most guests opting for either a glass of wine or the more famous frozen Grand Marnier slushy. The Kronenberg 1664 was listed as a lager and had a nice, light, and smooth taste to it. I really enjoyed this one, and I liked it so much that a few nights later my family dined over at the nearby Riviera Resort. This beer was on the menu, and I ordered it to accompany my main meal. From a pavilion with just one beer option to another with seemingly endless options, I now found myself inside the United Kingdom. I was hoping to get inside the Rose and Crown pub, but it was packed, and wait times were longer than some of the nearby park attractions, so to save some time, I headed over to the nearby Sidewalk Bar and ordered a Harp Draft. It's brewed in Ireland and I was told should have flavors of green apple and pear, but to be honest, I didn't pick up either of those flavors. It did have a nice clean taste and wasn't too bitter, which is always a plus and something I prefer. Oh, Canada. This is another pavilion with quite a few beer options, and since I used to live in Canada, I wanted to try something completely new. Over at the festival booth, I found one called Glutenberg Blonde Ale and ordered just the 6-ounce sample, but that was a mistake. This beer is brewed in Montreal, Quebec. It has a slightly dry taste, but a nice citrusy flavor as well. I absolutely love this one and wished I had picked up the larger option. Oh, did I mention I also ordered a classic poutine? I've certainly had better poutine, but to be honest, this was not too bad and even had real cheese curds, giving it a few extra bonus points. Alright, I'll admit it, this entire challenge is really just an excuse for me to get back out to EPCOT and also to show off this beautiful, privately designed pressed penny from our friend and fellow collector Bob Frazier. He created this to honor Benjamin Franklin's 315th birthday earlier this year. He was an American writer, scientist, inventor, statesman, diplomat, printer, publisher, political philosopher, and was one of the founding fathers of the United States, drafter and signer of the United States Declaration of Independence. I'm sure with all that he was involved in, Benjamin Franklin certainly enjoyed a beer every so often, and some have even credited him with saying beer is proof that God loves us and wants us to be happy. Did he actually say this? Well, who's to know for sure, but it's a fun thought, and I'm so happy that I can share this amazing penny design with all of you. Here is my final ranking of all the beers on our Drinking Around the World tour here at EPCOT in the World Showcase.
Well, I did it. I successfully drank around the world, and safely, I might add. It was very fitting that we finished the day here in my homeland of Canada, the pavilion that I always love. And that beer that we got from Montreal was actually fantastic, really good. I've never heard of it before. I guess I've been away from home way too long, but it was really great. Loved that I was able to cap off my day with that fantastic beer. And of course, for our troubles, we earned this very special penny from our friend Bob Frazier. Bob, thank you for sending this over. It was fantastic, and I really love it. It's going to make a great addition to my collection. Thank you all for joining me on this interesting adventure here at EPCOT in Walt Disney World. As always, have a fantastic week, stay safe, and keep on pressing.